Hi there, Julie Russo here, creator of Structures of Equality. Oftentimes when I start talking about math stories with very young children, I ask them to act out the story. The story that I'm going to read to you right now was acted out, and it really helped them internalize the story. So I laid bulletin board paper on the floor, and the students actually stood on the bulletin board paper. So the story says there were 4 students standing on the red bulletin board paper. There were 3 more students standing on the green bulletin board paper. So we actually had the students stand on that paper and then turn and look at each other, and we could visually see where those more students were. It was very powerful for them to actually see the more and then actually have those students on the longer strip sit down, and then the students on the shorter strip step forward. So that was a very powerful activity. Once we do that, then I get out my Unifix cubes and I talk to them about the math story and how we can model that same math story using cubes. So there were 4 students standing on the red bulletin board paper. There were 3 more students standing on the green bulletin board paper. You can see that visually right here. And then my line of equality is right here on my bars, because up until that point, my red bar is the same length as my green bar, or I have the same number of students standing on that bulletin board paper up until that point. And then here are the extra students. So again, that's my line of equality. All structures of equality have values, labels, and represent equality. This is something I would do before I'm actually modeling it with a dry erase board or dry erase strips. So then once we've done that, I would go back and ask the kids, students, I'd say, what does this one cube represent? This one red cube represent? And they would say that one red cube represents 1 student standing on the red bulletin board paper. Great. What does this whole train of cubes represent? This train represents all the students that were standing on the red bulletin board paper. Okay? Then I would say, what does this one green cube represent? It represents 1 student standing on the green bulletin board paper. All right, what does this whole green train represent? It represents all the students standing on the green bulletin board paper. Then I would break off this section right here and say, what does this represent? What do these 3 cubes represent? Or what do these 3 children, what does this mean? This means that there are 3 more students standing on the green bulletin board paper, or there are 3 more cubes in my green train than in my red train. So really talking about that line of equality and explaining that up until that point, those 2 trains are equal, and here is the extra or the more is extremely important for students.